Hello, hello, hello. Good to see you. Oh, I'm coming to your house, AJ, to eat. Not. That sounds good, though. Hello, everyone. Good to see you. And thanks to Cynthia, we have figured out her tattoo. It does say Queen, and it has a crown above it. So I'm very, very appreciative that she was able to find that out for me. It was driving me crazy to know what that said. And we are dual streaming today. I did manage to find the key, and we are live on YouTube and Substack. So that'll be my first one over there. But it's so good to see you. Thank you for joining. In case anybody doesn't know, this is Rebecca Park. And yeah, there was a couple of people that said they thought it said Queen, and it does. It most definitely does say Queen. But today we're going to watch what actually happened in the hearing for her bio mom and stepdad. So just be prepared. It comes with a trigger warning, graphic warning, just so you're all aware. Huh. I wondered, AJ. Okay. So, hello, Gloria. So good to see you, hon. So, I've got a few things lined up to play. But first, we're going to watch the court hearing. And I will take myself off and I will make it bigger, and hopefully you will be able to hear it. Hold on.
With somebody from the defender's office either yesterday or today.
Yeah.
I have a complaint that alleges that on or about November 3rd, 2025, in Antioch Township and or Boone Township of Wexford County, that is alleged in count number 1 that you committed the offense of homicide, murder in the first degree, premeditated. That is a felony punishable by up to life in prison without parole and DNA to be taken upon arrest. In count number 2, it's alleged that you committed the offense of homicide, felony murder. That is a felony punishable by up to life without parole and DNA to be taken upon arrest. Both of those charges involve Rebecca Park. In count number 3, it's alleged that you committed the offense of torture. That is a felony punishable by up to life or any term of years. A consecutive sentence may be imposed under MCL 750.506 but the assault happened in a place of confinement. In count number 4, it is alleged that he committed the offense of conspiracy to commit torture. That is a felony punishable by up to life and or any term of years and a $10,000 fine. The consecutive sentence may be imposed if it happened in a place of confinement. In count number 5, it's alleged that he committed the offense of assault, pregnant individual, intentionally causing miscarriages, stillbirth. That is a felony punishable by life or any term of years. In count number 6, it is alleged that he committed the offense of conspiracy to commit assault, pregnant individual, intentionally causing miscarriage or stillbirth. That is a felony punishable by life or any term of years and or $10,000. In count number 7, it is alleged that he committed the offense of unlawful imprisonment. That is a felony punishable by up to 15 years in prison and or a fine of $20,000. In count number 8, it is alleged that you committed the offense of dead bodies removing without medical examiner permission. That is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 1 year and $100. Additionally, the prosecution has elected to charge you as a habitual fourth offender, which means that you have at least 3 prior either attempted or completed felonies in your past. That makes those felonies punishable by more than 5 years up to life offenses. Do you understand those charges and the potential penalties?
Yes.
On felony complaints, you have certain rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say or write can and will be used against you. You also have the right to have an attorney present during any questioning that you consent to, and you have the right to stop answering questions at any time. You also have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford one would be appointed to represent you at public expense, but you may be required to repay a portion of that expense. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Today, do you plan to hire an attorney, represent yourself, or request the appointment of an attorney?
Request an appointment.
The court will make a referral to the public defender's office for the appointment of an attorney, will enter a not guilty plea on your behalf, and will set the matter for a preliminary examination. That's a hearing that's held here in the district court within 21 days. At that hearing, the prosecution will be required to prove 2 things. 1, probable cause that these crimes had occurred, and 2, probable cause that you were the person who committed the offense. If the prosecution is not able to do that, the case would be dismissed. But if they are able to do that, you'll be ordered to stand trial in circuit court. Prior to the preliminary examination, there will be a probable cause conference, which is where your attorney and the prosecutor will get together to see if there's a way to resolve the case. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Mr. Bartholomew, you met with somebody from the Community Corrections Department and gave them a mailing address, email, and a telephone number. Is that information all accurate?
Yes.
You also have the right to have a bond set. Your bond is based upon the probability of you appearing in future court appointments, the seriousness of the offense charged, and the threat that you pose to the public. Historically, counsel showed in 01 there was a forgery, 02 of receiving and concealing, 200 to 1,000, 05 malicious destruction of property, 200 to 1,000, 06 driving license suspended second, 06 driving license suspended, 08 driving license suspended, 10 driving license suspended second, 10 driving license suspended, 11 an attempted CSC 3, 11 larceny 1,000 to 20,000, also an 11 there's an attempted larceny, driving license suspended, and another driving license suspended. In 14 there was a failed to comply with SORA requirements. 17 failed to comply with SORA requirements as a second. In 21 operating without a license. 24 failed to comply with SORA. In 97, there was a set aside for receiving and concealing $100 or less, not shown in the CCH without a local record. There is an NSF check over $100 from, I believe that's 2000. The driving license suspended from 2000. 05, there was driving license suspended. 06 driving license suspended. 11 driving license suspended. And 21 failed to display the license. I have reviewed the praxis. The praxis scores him at a risk level 4. Any comment regarding bond, Mr. Martel?
Yes, Your Honor. Of course, your step these are extremely serious allegations. Without disputing the fact that this defendant does have a prior criminal history, obviously, even though some of those prior criminal histories are also very serious, I would ask the court to note none of those were for these type of allegations. I have represented the defendant in the past, and what I would say is To my recollection, he's always stayed in contact with the defender's office. He's always been to court when we asked him to be to court, if I recall correctly. I don't believe there ever been any flight risk concerns. He does have strong ties to the community. The address that I have, and I won't say it on the record, but it is the one that he's given us before. And I don't doubt he continues to have strong ties to the community. I know he's extremely low income, so I would ask the court to factor that in when setting a bond. I do realize there will almost certainly be a monetary bond, but I ask the court to factor that in. I also ask the court to consider non-monetary bond conditions for public safety when deciding if it can be on the lower end of that. I don't doubt he would comply, as he's always complied with all bond conditions. Perhaps no contact with alleged co-conspirators, GPS tether, house arrest, things of that nature. But again, I just ask the court to factor in everything that's been said so far today. Thank you.
That's great.
Thank you. The people are going to ask the court to deny bond in this matter. Under MCR 6.106B1, the court may deny pretrial release to a defendant charged with murder. He is charged with first-degree premeditated murder and felony murder, along with several other heinous crimes. In this case, we have two individuals that created a plan, research. They brought Rebecca Park to their home, forced her into a vehicle where they stabbed her, forced her to lie on the ground while they cut her baby out of her, ultimately causing her death and the death of the baby. This is as heinous and as awful the case as it could be. And I don't believe there are any circumstances in which Mr. Bartholomew should be granted any bond.
The court does find, based on probable cause affidavits that I have read, the search warrants that I have read, what's been presented to the court today, that Mr. Bartholomew does present as a threat and the flight risk to the community. As such, he will be held without bond. Thank you, Ms. Aki.
No problem.
There's a reserved seat over there. I'm
Can we sit down more?
Is prohibited. In a courtroom, no one may use portable electronic device to take photographs or audio or video. This is the case of the people of the state of Michigan versus Bradley and Alan Bartholomew, case number. This is the case of the people of the state of Michigan versus Courtney Marie Bartholomew, case number 254994FY. Here for the arraignment. Ms. Bartholomew, did you have the opportunity to meet with somebody from the defender's office either yesterday or today?
I did.
I have a complaint that alleges that on or about November 3rd, 2025, in Antioch Township and or Boone Township in Wexford County, it is alleged in count number 1 that you committed the offense of homicide, murder in the first degree, premeditated, on Rebecca Park. That is a felony punishable life to life without parole, and DNA to be taken upon arrest. In count number 2, it is alleged that you committed the offense of homicide, felony murder upon Rebecca Park. That is a felony punishable life to life without parole, and DNA to be taken upon arrest. In count number 3, it is alleged that you committed the offense of torture. That is a felony punishable life to life or any term of years, and consecutive sentencing may be imposed if it happened in place of confinement. In count number 4, it is alleged that you committed the offense of conspiracy to commit torture with Bradley Bartholomew. That is a felony punishable by up to life and or any term of years and or $10,000. And again, consecutive sentencing may be imposed if it happened in place of confinement. In count number 5, it was alleged that you committed the offense of assault, pregnant individual, intentionally causing miscarriage or stillbirth. That is a felony punishable by life and or any term of years. In count number 6, it is alleged that you committed the offense of conspiracy to commit assault, pregnant individual, intentionally causing miscarriage or stillbirth. That is a felony punishable by life or any term of years. In count number 7, it is alleged that you committed the offense of unlawful imprisonment. That is a felony punishable by up to 15 years in prison and or a fine of $20,000. In count number 8, it is alleged that you committed the offense of dead bodies removing without medical exam or commission. That is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 1 year in jail and or a fine of $500. Do you understand those charges and potential penalties? On felony complaints, you have certain rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say or write can and will be used against you. You also have the right to be represented by an attorney during any questioning that you consent to, and the right to stop answering questions at any time. You also have the right to be represented by an attorney if you cannot afford one to be appointed to represent you at public expense, but you may be required to repay a portion of that expense. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Today, do you plan to hire an attorney to represent yourself or request the appointment of an attorney?
Request.
The court will make a referral to the public defender's office for the appointment of an attorney who will enter a not guilty plea on behalf of a supplemental for a preliminary examination. That's a hearing that's held here in the district court within 21 days. At that hearing, the prosecution will be required to prove 2 things. 1, probable cause that these crimes had occurred, and 2, probable cause that you were the person who committed the offenses. If the prosecution is not able to do that, the case will be dismissed. But if they are able to do that, you'll be ordered to stand trial in circuit court. Prior to the preliminary examination, there will be a probable cause conference. That's where your attorney and the prosecutor will get together to see if there was a way to resolve the case short of going to trial. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
You also have the right to have a bond set. The bond is based upon the probability of the future court appointments, the seriousness of the offense charged, and the threat that you pose to the public. Counsel tracks the scores here at a risk level 2. The defendants passed, as showed in 15, the driving license suspended second, 18, driving license suspended, 19, allowing another person to operate in violation of the vehicle code, and 20, lying to a peace officer in a 1 to 4 year investigation, actually 2 convictions for that. In 05, a driving license suspended that was set aside. In 05, a financial transaction device fraud withdrawal 200 to 1,000 that was set aside. In 14, there was a driving license suspended set aside. In 18, false or forged ID set aside. On a local record not showing the CCH, there was an 03 stray dog and a licensed dog. 04 unlawful plate. 05, an attempt failed to report an accident. 15, driving license expired. 17, allowing unlicensed driver to operate. 19, allowing unlicensed driver to operate. And in 23, false report of a misdemeanor. Any comment regarding bond, Mr. Nuttall?
Yes, sir. We do realize these are very serious allegations. She does, as the court did note, have a prior criminal history, nothing anywhere relatable to this. I would ask the court to factor that in when setting bond. I have had contact with her in the past. I did represent family members of hers. I won't go into too much detail about that. What I will say is, without giving the address on record. I am familiar that she does have strong ties to that area. She does have friends and family and support structure in the area. She also has a variety of disabilities that I won't go into too much detail just for respect of her. But she does have upcoming medical appointments, MRIs, CAT scans, things of that nature, just so the court is aware. I don't believe she's a flight risk, not only due to the fact of her ties to the community, but also due to her need to do those medical appointments. I do believe that she would obey any non-monetary bond conditions the court placed on her if the court has concern for public safety, which we don't doubt would be appropriate in the scenario. No contact with alleged co-conspirators, house arrest, things of that nature. I do realize the court's not required to set a monetary bond, but I would ask the court to consider it, including factoring in her disability, her low income, and the fact that her prior criminal history doesn't have these type of allegations in it. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, the people are going to request the court deny bond in this case pursuant to MCR 6.106B1, which allows the court to deny pretrial release to a defendant charged with murder. She is charged with murder. She's also charged with felony murder and 6 other counts, as the court read. I hate to repeat it, but to create a record in this case as well, I think no bond or being held without bond is appropriate. Again, this is a case of premeditated torture and murder. These two individuals created a plan, conducted research. Ms. Bartholomew brought Rebecca to their home. They forced her into another vehicle and took her into the woods, where they stabbed her, forced her to lie on the ground while they cut her baby out, and ultimately caused her death and the death of the baby. They then left Rebecca in the woods. This is frankly evil personified, and I would ask the court to hold her without bond.
The court does find, based on what's been presented to it today, the probable cause affidavit I've read, and various search warrants I've read, the defendant was both a flight risk and a threat to the community, therefore she will be held without bond. I am going to order.
Your Honor, I have a question.
No. I'm also going to order that the defendant not have any contact with Bradley Bartholomew, and I'm going to sua sponte go back and add that to requirement of his bond conditions as well.
Well, yes. Hi, Julie. Yes, it is horrible. No, her disabilities didn't stop her from doing this. You're right. But I love how the judge shut her down right then. Yeah. It's crazy. It is crazy. So let's now, they found her body on federal land. So there's been questions, will this still be in the regular court system, or will this possibly be changed over to a federal case? So I have something to share on that.
The Rebecca Park case to move forward, we are finding answers to some of the questions viewers have been asking the most. One we've seen a lot of is, because Park's body was found on federal land, does that mean this case would be moved to federal court? Allie Baxter got those answers. She joins us now live from the Content Center. Allie.
Yeah, Mark, Michigan actually has more federal land than any of the other Midwest states. And according to the U.S. Geological Survey, that land totals more than 3.6 million acres, including the Manistee National Forest, where Park's body was discovered.
The venue of it is not necessarily where the body is found. It's ultimately where the crime was committed.
Adam Dreer has a long history as a prosecutor at the local and federal level, including time in Wayne County prosecuting homicide cases. We asked him if where Rebecca Park's body was found changes anything in the investigation or legal proceedings.
Sounded like the Wexford County prosecutor had evidence to suggest that the crime started at the house. And so I think that continuing action will still allow the people of the state of Michigan to prosecute this case.
1/10 of Michigan is federal land, including the Manistee National Forest where Park was found. But as Adam explains, this doesn't mean the case will be automatically prosecuted federally. Instead, it gives the federal government the option to prosecute if they want to.
There's a Supreme Court opinion that really reflects that both the state of Michigan and the federal government have the ability to prosecute any crime that's committed. But the issue really becomes resource allocation. In other words, if one sovereign, here the state of Michigan, is already going forward, already has a case, I don't necessarily think the federal government would jump in and take this over.
Adam also says the seriousness of the allegations against Brad and Courtney Bartholomew would already ensure they would face the penalty of life in prison.
You know, with Michigan already having such a severe penalty for these, I would be surprised if the federal government also tried to get in on it as well.
It's Michigan's strict penalties that Adam points to as a reason for why it's uncommon for the federal government to involve themselves in a case like this.
And I can assure you that the penalties for murder in the first degree do not provide any sort of discretion to the sentencing judge whatsoever. If a defendant is convicted of murder in the first degree, the court must impose a life without parole sentence, meaning there's no parole board. That individual will be in prison for the rest of their natural life.
Michigan was the first state to get rid of the death penalty, but some have asked if that penalty would be back on the table if by chance Courtney and Brad are convicted on the federal level as well. Adam says he doesn't think so.
Even if the federal government were to come in and prosecute this, they would still rely heavily on Michigan law in terms of the penalties associated with it.
Meaning even if Courtney and Brad are tried with federal procedures, the charges would still be grounded in Michigan law, which forbids the death penalty.
That although right now they are accused of some very horrible acts, at this point, they are still accusations. And so certainly we have to allow the process to determine what happened in the right procedure.
So we heard him say they don't think it will move to be a federal because you got to take in account where all of it happened. Yeah. Right. They don't have death penalty though, Fancy. So all they can get is life in prison without parole. Right. They don't have the DP. Now let's talk about the sister and the fiance. And what I'm going to read to you may be shocking to you. I'm floored. Is as to why, but there again, we do not know all of the details behind everything. So take that one off the screen. Sister of Rebecca Park out of jail. while mom is accused of murdering pregnant daughter and cutting out baby. Kimberly Park. This is the sister of Rebecca. Has been released from jail after her bail was reduced from $750,000 to $5,000. But as a condition of her release, she must wear a GPS monitoring device and is on house arrest. Kimberly's release comes 2 days after her mother, Courtney Bartholomew, was charged with murdering her pregnant daughter, Rebecca, whose unborn child was cut from her womb. Rebecca's fiance, Richard Fowler, was also released from the Wexford County Jail on Wednesday after his bail was reduced also to $5,000. And both he and Kimberly will be back in court on December 9th. Kimberly was released from Wexford County Jail on Wednesday, December 3rd, after posting bail, an employee at the facility tells People magazine. And they also learned that Rebecca's fiance, Richard, was also released from the same facility on Wednesday after he posted bail as well. So, yeah, they declined to comment on what those charges were related to or why the judge set the bail at the amounts that they were, and why they let him out. Kimberly is now on house arrest, and as a condition of her release, she will be required to wear GPS monitoring bracelet at all times. And Fowler is not subject to house arrest or GPS monitoring as a condition of his release, but will be back in court on December 9th as well for a preliminary hearing in his case. Yikes. I don't know. AJ, I don't know. Yeah. Yes, Monty. And Gloria, I wonder if that's it, if they're working with the prosecutors. No, Troy, Kimberly and Richard were never charged with the actual things to do with Rebecca. They were charged with other things. Her closest thing was lying to police. And his was drug-related charges. Yeah, I think Gloria had a good thought there. And I wondered that too. And I'll be at work tomorrow. I won't be able to show it or nothing. Well, I don't even know what time. But they are having a vigil. The Northern Michigan community is uniting to honor the memory of Rebecca Park and her baby with a candlelight vigil and a fundraiser. The vigil is scheduled for Saturday at 4 p.m. on 20.5 Boone Road. That is the road where her phone was found. Organizers are inviting family, friends, and anyone touched by Rebecca's story to bring candles, bubbles, and photos in her memory. Jody Lewis, the vigil coordinator, said, "So we just want to remember the good times with Rebecca, and we want to honor Becca and baby Richie." So there's the name. I know Cynthia had found that, but I had not. And I do remember now that the fiance said it was a boy, but I don't recall hearing a name. And we just want to bring family and friends together to kind of mourn her loss and just kind of remember the good times. Lewis encourages those unable to attend to light a candle Saturday evening in honor of Rebecca and her baby. In addition to the vigil, a fundraiser organized by 2 Cedar Creek Cafe members will take place on December 13th from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. at the Matin Consolidated Schools. This event will feature a $12 spaghetti plate or spaghetti dinner, silent auction, and a bake sale, with all proceeds going to the Trust for Rebecca's Children. It was here. I can't play it because of the music. Martha Snyder, owner of Cedar Creek Cafe, shared her memories of Rebecca, saying, "She was here. We had made a date, so when she had her son, she was supposed to come back and get a cinnamon roll." And I won't be able to give her that now. So the least I can do is try and support her family. Snyder said she was very soft. She had a soft personality and a soft heart and an infectious smile, beautiful laugh, and she loved her children with every ounce of her being. For those wishing to donate directly, contributions can be sent to Stephanie Park at P.O. Box 580, Lake City, Michigan 49651. Sorry, I got choked up there. No, they've not found the baby. Oh, I cried, Fancy. Oh, I started to. And I know there is GoFundMe or something set up, but be very cautious of that. Hi, Cynthia. Hi, Aries. Yeah, we don't know where the baby is. Like I said, the last live we had, that rumor or speculation was that they confiscated burn barrels from the mother's property. Hi, Bart. Yeah, thanks, Cynthia. She found that it actually says Queen. Hi, Hoosier. So yeah, it was hard to listen to. But I read the charges, but the judge done a much better job than I could. Oh no, Cynthia, you found that for me. And I appreciate that. That put my mind to rest at what that actually said above her eye. Which other hearing, Cynthia? I just played the one that actually had to do with the bio mom and the stepdad. Is there something new? I played the one where the judge read out the charges for each one. Oh, nice to know that, Aries. Yeah, I could tell it seems like a tough place. Oh, this one here that I showed had her trying to talk over the judge and he shut her down. So, but yeah, Courtney had came back and tried to ask for a bond and he shot her down. Yeah, I know. Sorry, I had a very confusing text message from work. I think I'm off Sunday. Oh. Let's see which one this one is, and I can play it if I can. I don't know. I'll have to see if I can go back over here. $84. Oh. Okay, I found what Cynthia's talking about. And again, this is for the bio mom.
Court calls the people of the state of Michigan versus Courtney Marie Bartholomew, case number 254994 FY. Ms. Bartholomew, are you able?
You'll have to slide. It's got a slide on the camera.
Ms. Bartholomew, are you able to see and hear me?
I can kind of see you. There's a thing in the middle of the screen, but yes, I can hear you.
All right. Ma'am, I have you here for an amended complaint. Your complaint is amended to correct the spelling of your name. Your first name was spelled incorrectly yesterday, so it has been corrected to amend that. But I do have to go through the charges with you again. It is alleged that on or about November 3rd, 2025 in Antioch Township and Boone Township.
And if you didn't catch that, they had to redo this because they had some of the information wrong on the sheet, one being the spelling of her name. Hi, JB2. Which is what, Janet over there on Substack?
That in count number 1, you committed the offense of homicide, murder in the first degree, premeditated. That is a felony punishable by punishable by life without parole and DNA to be taken upon arrest. In count number 2, it is alleged you committed the offense of homicide, felony murder. That is a felony punishable by life without parole, and DNA to be taken upon arrest. In count number 3, it is alleged that you committed the offense of torture. That is a felony punishable by life or any term of years. A consecutive sentencing may be imposed if the assault happened in a place of confinement. In count number 4, it's alleged you committed the offense of conspiracy to commit torture. That is a felony of life or any term of years and a $10,000 fine, and consecutive sentencing may apply if it happened in a place of confinement. In count number 5 is alleged that you committed the offense of assault, pregnant individual, intentionally causing miscarriage or stillbirth. That is a felony punishable by life or any term of years. In count number 6, it is alleged that you committed the offense of conspiracy to commit assault, pregnant individual, intentionally causing miscarriage or stillbirth. That is a felony punishable by punishable by life or any term of years. In count number 7, it is alleged you committed the offense of unlawful imprisonment. That is a felony punishable by 15 years in prison and or a fine of $20,000. And in count number 3, it is alleged you committed the offense of dead bodies removing without medical examiner permission. That is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 1 year in jail and or a fine of $5,000. Ms. Bartholomew, as I said before, those are the same charges you were arraigned on yesterday, but do you understand these charges and the potential penalties?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, we will go ahead and continue the not guilty plea and the request for the appointment of an attorney. And we will set the matter for a probable cause conference. Mr. Hartel, anything for the record?
Your Honor, I knew there was a decision on bond just yesterday, but when I did meet with her earlier this morning, she did ask if we could address bond.
Ms. Carey, do you have any objection to that?
I do.
Mr. Hartel?
Thank you, Your Honor. I do, of course, realize and respect that these type of allegations are not required to have a bond set. However, I would ask the court to consider one. She does have strong ties to the community. She has advised me she has various medical appointments coming up that require CAT scans, other important conditions that I won't go into too much for protection for medical reasons. I believe yesterday I failed to mention that she does have a minor child that she's the primary caregiver for. I believe a 14-year-old boy, if I recall correctly. She would like to get home to him, help take care of him and her other obligations. I again know these are very heinous allegations. I would ask the court to consider applying as many non-monetary bond conditions as possible, and perhaps even a high monetary bond. I realize she's extremely low income and a high monetary bond would be very difficult for her to reach, but at least then it would be a possibility because she does have friends and family in the community who might be able to pool resources. But ask the court to consider it, even if on the high end. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Carey, you don't need to go into the facts of the case again, but do you have any comment regarding the request?
Just really briefly, Your Honor. No, the first thing I want to say is in looking at the complaint, I didn't notice it before. For the city township village, it says Antioch Township and Boone Township. The original said and or.
That's what I thought.
And I would like to correct that. I don't know. Write it down, or maybe there's other typed signed one.
What we'll do is I will accept that as a verbal motion and I'll grant the request to amend it to change it to and or, and I will make the change on my copy. Ms. Bartholomew, just understand that the venue is in Antioch Township and or Boone Township, just so you're aware of that.
Okay. A new amended.
You can send up a new amended one. We won't arraign her on that because I'll consider that done just now.
Thank you. And briefly on the bond issue, absolutely nothing has changed from yesterday to today. This, again, is as serious as it can be. And I believe the risk of flight, given these allegations, is just too high. And I would ask the court to continue the remand or holding her without bond. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The court agrees that there's been no change in circumstances. While I understand there are some health conditions and the concern for a minor child, the fact remains that Ms. Bartholomew is, I find, a flight risk and a threat to the community. So I will continue to hold her without bond.
Anything else, counsel?
No, thanks.
No, thank you.
All right.
Your Honor,
Thank
can
you,
I
Jill.
say something?
Mr. Hartel?
If it's only applicable to bond, I wouldn't be opposed to it, as long as it's not about the underlying case.
It's only about bond.
All right.
I am willing to work with the prosecutor also,
So I'm not going to get into
and
that.
also to have my jail sentence from this jail to my home where I would be monitored at your guys'.
That is something I have no control over. I am not most likely than not, I will not be your sentencing judge.
I just need to be able to take care of him. I'm the only one that has custody of him.
Is Bartholomew, I understand, but the fact is I've found that you are a threat and a flight risk, and I am not going to, at this point, I'm not authorizing a bond. Thank you, Jail.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So yeah, she's not getting her way. Yeah. That happens around here too. I think it happens in most places, honestly. Yeah. Well, just because she has custody of him doesn't mean that she was even taking care of him. I don't know. That's just an opinion. And I bet I haven't found it, but from what I've seen, that he is in DCS custody, so they are looking after him. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. But I just wanted to come on and share that with you guys. I know me reading it just isn't the same as listening to a judge or a lawyer read out the charges, and we got to hear the shocking detail. So, but I want to thank you all. I hope you have a great evening, a wonderful weekend. Hopefully I don't work Sunday. From what I just read, I may show up at work tomorrow and they're not working tomorrow. But we'll figure it out. Oh, I'm sure, Aries. They probably have. But thank you all. Make sure you've hit the thumbs up, share, subscribe, the whole 9 yards. We are inching closer to the 500 goal. So it'll be great to hopefully hit that before the end of the year. That would be awesome. Thank you guys. Love you. Bye.